Alright, I'm doing section 4.4 to 4.6, chapter 4, which has to do with the unconscious mind and sleep disorders and the different stages of sleep and all that stuff. You'll have to forgive me, I have a terrible headache and I'm not going to be as enthusiastic as some people might wish. Anyway, the first section is 4.4, and that has to do with altered sleep. And now the portion I'll be covering is about sleep disorders. Now, the first sleep disorder that I'll discuss is known as insomnia, which is actually when a person can't get sleep. So either they can't physically fall asleep, or they can't sleep for extended periods of time, or the sleep that they supposedly do get doesn't do anything to re-energize their body. It doesn't relax them. It doesn't serve its overall purpose. Unless y'all just like laying there like a piece of wood. Anyway, the second disorder is known as sleep apnea. Now, that's when a person, when they're sleeping, they actually stop breathing for 30 seconds to a minute. And, usually they snap back into it and they can, their natural breathing rhythm comes back. But it can actually be a very serious thing, and, people can die from it. You should probably go to the doctor if you stop sleeping or if you stop breathing for any extended period of time. Just a little recommendation. I'm not a doctor, so take it for what it's worth. Another one is narcolepsy, which I guess I'm gonna trust that the person before me explained the stages of sleep. There's 4 of them, and stage 4 is the deepest of sleep, and then there's also REM sleep, which is where all your dreams occur and your brain is most active. Anyway, segueing back to narcolepsy, that's a genetic disorder where without warning or, any kind of stimulus, a person will just pass out and go into REM sleep. And that's pretty much it. I mean, they'll be running a marathon and just zonk, you're out. Good times. There's when you're in REM sleep, there's REM paralysis, which is where all your voluntary muscles, they're paralyzed, so you can't move or anything like that. So hopefully you can't talk, that kind of thing. And it's actually a disorder in stage 4 where people sleepwalk and they sleep talk and they can act out their dreams. Now, this can be actually dangerous when it comes to things like night terrors, which nightmares are like the baby version and they occur during REM sleep, and it's just, everyone's had nightmares. They're unpleasant dreams. It's not all lollipops and sugar cane and fluffy clouds and unicorns and all that nonsense. And during a night terror, you actually fear for your existence is, the best apt way I can put it, as if the dream was real. And this has actually been used in court, that people have used this as a defense for murdering their family or their wife or their husband or, their neighbor's leprechaun, something. And some of them have actually convinced the courts that it's viable, and others have been caught for lying, which, I don't know, it's your own morals, but it's a good thing that they got caught when they didn't actually have a disorder. But that's pretty much it for that. The other disorder, I forgot, I apologize, is REM behavior disorder, which is when REM paralysis fails, and I'm assuming it probably has something to do with the stage 4 with the sleepwalking and talking, but this happens during REM behavior disorder strictly for REM sleep, and it's when your voluntary muscles don't paralyze and you actually, you can violently move around in your sleep and yell and make noises, and, if you're sleeping next to anyone, give them quite the wake-up call. But the next section is 4.5, which has to do with dreams and why people dream, and basically what these dreams are about and the cause of these dreams. Now, dreams, based on Freud's theory, have manifest content and latent content. Now, manifest content is actually what your dream is composed of. So if you have a dream about a pink penguin that tap dances, That's the manifest content of your dream. There's a pink penguin that tap dances. Now, the latent content is actually the symbolism behind that, what that penguin actually represents to you, and maybe why it's pink and why it's tap dancing. But that's Freud's theory on that. And there's also the activation synthesis theory, which has to do with explaining why dreams even occur, which activation synthesis theory is actually, it's revised now, but it's an early stage of a theory. And what its explanation for dreams is that it's kind of like when a computer's on standby, how it's still running, but it's doing functions in the background, you just can't tell. And the theory is pretty much, my analogy is that your brain is the same way. When you sleep, your brain is actually on standby and it's still doing things for your body, as regulating your breathing and your heartbeat and all those kinds of things. But at the same time, on a neurological level, it's reacting with the pons and with the ponins in your brain and causing, random such images to occur. Now, the revised theory of the activation synthesis theory is the activation information mode model, which the acronym for that is AIM. And basically, it's a revised theory, and it involves that the dreams that we have are actually due to the events that went throughout our day. So if there was something that was bothering you or worrying you throughout your day, it'll carry over into your dreams in possibly the form of a pink penguin that tap dances. And that's the revised theory of why we have dreams and what they actually mean. The last section I'll cover is 4.6, which has to do with hypnosis. Now, if you're not familiar with hypnosis, it's when a person is put into an unconscious state where they're highly suggestible, like they're susceptible to other people's whims, what they want them to do. Most likely the hypnotist at this point. So basically, if you put this theory into action, hypnotists put a person in an unconscious state, and then they tell them, get up and quack like a duck. And due to a theory known as disassociation that Hilgard actually came up with, they do these things regardless of, social biases, or, you don't want to look stupid in front of your friends. Who wants to get up on stage and quack like a duck in front of random people? All that stuff goes away. You have, nothing hindering you. And other theorists later on have believed that this is just a social cognitive theory, which is just the person isn't actually in a state of sleep, but they're simply in a stage where the part of their brain that's highly influenced by other people, you just aim to please, that pretty much just takes over, and you do whatever these people tell you to do. I mean, I don't know how much you believe in hypnotism or all that kind of thing, but it's kind of interesting from the point of view of how it can actually affect a person, and just, why we keep having that dream about pink penguins with that tap dance. Maybe it's just me. But anyway, I apologize for not being as enthusiastic as possible. I hope that the other people in my section have covered their portions aptly, because without it, mine is kind of left vague, because I don't get to cover any of the stages of sleep. I simply get to explain what could possibly occur in them.